right. Hey guys, Kevin Schrage here with Slant Range. I'm the director of marketing. I got Cody Thomas here. He's been a customer of ours for a couple of years now, and he has some cool stories to share with us, and he's been using our sensors for a while. So Cody, can you kick it off and give us an introduction?
Yeah, sounds good. My name's Cody Thomas. I'm from Northern California, so between Sacramento and Chico, right off I-5, and this is the middle of rice country here. So California is the second leading producer of rice in the United States, and most people don't even know the U.S. grows any rice, let alone California. So pretty unique.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So it sounds like you've been working on rice farms for quite some time now.
Yeah, that's right. So I grew up on a rice farm in Colusa County. So this is a rice field right behind me. It's winter right now, so nothing's growing. But yeah, this is right smack dab in the middle of rice country.
Okay. Could you just tell us a little bit about your business and kind of how you got started?
Yeah, of course. So I started a couple years ago. This will be my second season using a Slant Range product. So I'm using the Slant Range 3P in my workflow.
Okay.
I use that on a Matrice 100, and it's been testing at times, some issues, but figuring out how to work through them and working with you guys, I've seen a lot of success. So it's going to be a really good second season here.
Right on. What made you choose that setup over others?
Well, the Slant Range community, honestly. So doing my due diligence at the beginning of my business, which sensor I should go for, it was connecting with the community, seeing who's using what out there, what are the best options, and success rates from those folks. All signs led me to Slant Range.
Right on. And you're an early adopter, so did you run into any problems, trying to get growers and farmers committed to using this new technology? Can you talk about that?
So I know this industry, it's still in its infancy, and I describe it as we're still flying the Model Ts right now of the drone age. So as service providers, or even using this in your farming workflow, you're at the mercy of a lot of technology, softwares working together with hardware. So if one of them doesn't work, nothing's going to work. So getting growers and agronomists, crop control advisors to come watch, have a look at the data, and really paying attention to the data. It's been very interesting. It's been frustrating. You name it. It's been all of the above because it's so new. Yeah. And people want proof of its effectiveness. People want to see the ROI. People want to know it works. So there's still a lot of wow factor out there with folks in ag seeing drones firsthand, but the drone, that's just the platform. That's where the wow factor comes from. That's the glitz and glamour. It's what's aboard the drone. It's the Slant Range 3P in this instance, and it's the data that it captures. That's the real bread and butter.
Yeah, so you told us a pretty cool story about how you're using this in rice. It sounds like you had some issues at the beginning, mostly with the idea that rice is grown in water, and the water, it's hard to differentiate the water from the rice when you're flying over with our sensors. Can you talk about a little bit about that? Yeah,
sure. So I fly a variety of other crops as well, namely mostly tree crops, almonds, walnuts. I do sunflowers as well. And when it comes to rice, though, it's an interesting crop to get data on because of the water. Now, typically when you go out and you want to get information and vegetation, you want to fly as close to solar noon as possible, right? You want to get that sun high in the sky, less shadows. You want to get that solid sunlight on the crop. Well, with rice, especially in the early season, it's a lot of standing water. So if you fly at solar noon or near it, you're going to get that sun's reflection in the water. So that's just going to completely blot out the data. So the trick is, first of all, waiting for the appropriate time to fly in the season. You got to wait for the rice to get more of a closed canopy in the field. So once that stage has come, it's okay, what time of the day do you fly in this case? Well, you got to fly a bit earlier in the day, and then also a little bit later in the day as well. You got to leave out that midday time, at least until the canopy is closed, because that will severely screw up the data. And arguably the biggest issue facing rice production is weed pressure. And weeds crowd out the rice, weeds multiply like crazy. and how do you get rid of them? You know, so that's the biggest thing that Slant Range, I think, is really coming through on. So last year, as my first year working with such a system, let alone in rice, it was interesting trying to figure out when to fly, when not to fly, what's the data look like at those wrong times of the day, and then figuring out, okay, once I found the sweet spot of when to fly, I can go out and I can get the spectral signature of water grass. And through the Slant View system software, I can basically tell it, all right, here's the spectral signature of the water grass. Give me everything else here that matches that. And then from there, now the trick is okay, what do you do with it? Well, growing up here and with the community, everybody knows everybody. I'm related to half the county, I feel like. So I know the guys that do our crop dusting, and I wanted to know what system and software they use. And those guys have tons of growers they work with to go do their crops. They're busy nonstop, even throughout the year with other crops. So getting them to sit down with me and plugging our data into other systems to see if we can put that as a geotiff into their system. And some systems like AgLeader SMS, within their software, you can turn geotiffs into shape files within their system. And I have another customer that we're actually using this technique in his walnut orchard and sunflower fields and spreading gypsum on areas of they're seeing low production yields. So using the Slant Range technology has been really valuable with growers that use systems on their sprayers and their spreaders. That's fantastic. So with rice, now we know that it works in our guy's helicopter over there. So this coming season, now that they're on board, we've uploaded it to their system. It's really time to put it into action. So this is going to be pretty cool to be able to see it go from a drone, getting it with a Slant Range 3P, and then hooking that information up to an actual helicopter and spot spraying. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how farmers would typically spray their fields with the helicopters?
Yeah, so typically you can kind of eyeball it and see, okay, this field, spray the whole field. So a helicopter will go spray the whole field. Some fields are pretty clean, so maybe they won't be sprayed. Maybe a section of it, maybe half of it will have to be sprayed. But when it gets more precise, that's kind of where the industry has been missing. You know, so the choppers are going to go spray an entire field. But now with this type of information, we can bring that down. We can start to practice hitting these spots that can be hit and don't hit other areas. So this is a pretty unique time. So more agronomists here where I'm from have been taking this data and really appreciating what it shows. So it's going to be a new approach now, hopefully, around here with rice production as far as tackling weeds by creating these maps.
Right on. And so obviously, when you're not spraying the entire field, you know, a couple of things go in effect. One, you're not going to spend as much money on the chemicals, and there's also, you know, environmental effects as well. How are the farmers taking to this new technology?
So once again, there is the wow factor, but beyond that, it's like, show us the data. How does this work? One of the things with agriculture on a broad level is that people think that growers are just completely closed-minded to new technology. I'm seeing more often that that's just completely false. You know, that you have to give it to them in slow doses, of course. Mm-hmm. But we're seeing agriculture as far as harvesters, different types of ag equipment that are run by GPS. So now all the growers around here, they're getting used to understanding every tractor is going to have a monitor. You're going to have some GPS capability, whether or not they want to invest in that. But they understand, like, they see the future. They see it as automation, robotics, has the ability to save a lot of money. In ag, saving money is making money. So there's a lot of benefits into that. But an interesting issue is that this technology, before drones and Slant Range, growers had access to satellite tech. Right. Satellite resolution obviously just doesn't compare to what you can get with a drone now, but there are systems out there like AgLeader SMS. It's a spatial management system. So you can go out with a sprayer, spreader, and you can adjust the tonnage of an input based on the health of an area of that vegetation. So in this instance, and some growers I work with, it's gypsum, hitting it where it needs to be hit. So a lot of growers still don't even have that yet. I'd say about 99% of growers do not or have not invested in softwares that allow them to adjust the tonnage of inputs. Yep. They'll just go out and just do an even layer of spraying or spreading of different inputs on an area. But now, once again, this is brand new stuff we're working with here. So the other stuff that's been out there is just way too difficult for growers to use. It's too expensive. It's just a headache. So where service providers like myself using your technology, it's making it a lot easier for them to approach this with open arms if they can save some money. But it's up to me to go out and show this to them. So that's the trick. Other than that, it's easier than you think.
Yeah, so it sounds like the technology's there, and we run into this problem a lot too, but the farmers aren't ready to adopt it just right now, because a lot of it has to do with educating them on how it works. And really, I mean, a lot of it has to do with trust, right? To make sure that if they're doing these prescription rate applications, they want to make sure that they're hitting the right spots where they're supposed to. And I think a lot does come down to trust.
Yeah, no, exactly it. They want to see it firsthand. They want to be sold on it. That's the thing. They want to be sold. So I highly encourage other service providers to look more into this. I think this gets into the business aspect of a service provider, though, using drones. It's for those of you listening out there that want to approach farmers, I'd say please have some sort of background a little bit in agriculture, because if growers get approached by certain service providers, and I've heard of this, they did not deliver, they used the wrong type of camera, not a multispectral, and you can turn a lot of growers off to this type of tech. So it can be sensitive who you approach. So a little bit of homework, a little bit of background just adds to the value you can provide. So basically walk the walk and talk the talk,
Yeah, and speaking of that a little bit too, we mentioned, having trust in the data. How important is it to use good quality data and the right sensors? It sounds like you mentioned using multispectral sensors. Did you have any experience before using different cameras or anything?
Well, yes and no. So it's kind of broad. I'll broaden that up a little bit, not just down to rice, but in ag in general. No matter what the vegetation is, it's important to use the appropriate tech. Once again, when talking about this, it's got to be multispectral, unless you, for some reason, want some basic vegetation information. In that case, go get a Phantom 4 Pro and use drone deploy, but why cut yourself short? So getting that more scientific information, that's what you should be providing to growers and agronomists, agribusinesses. So that is, I think, a necessity. And for service providers out there using just Pix 4D and a color camera, you're just not getting into the nitty gritty of what could be going on. So you could miss something entirely if you just use that. That's where this tech is really, really beneficial, and it's just getting started.
Yeah, agree. Can you give any advice to anyone else that's looking to get in this industry or already in this industry?
Yeah, I'd say do your homework, understand where you're at geographically, what is being grown nearby, what issues are they facing. So if anybody wants to break into this, I mean, first of all, I would recommend having some sort of ag background. But then on top of that, find your local agribusinesses, talk with the agribusinesses, because their fingers reach out to all the growers in the areas. They know the issues that go on. So maybe there's something out there that is facing a certain geographic ag area, and maybe a thermal camera could help solve some issues. Maybe there's something out there you can use a Phantom 4 Pro, drone deploy, or Pix 4D and create some digital terrain models, and you can get into some hydrology issues that face certain areas. So there's many things that are being looked at, and drones are really cracking into being able to better provide growers with certain options based on this data. So it's really neat. It's really neat.
Right on. Well, hey, Cody, I appreciate your time. Again, You're been with Slant Range for about 2 years now, so he's one of our older customers, and he's kind of a veteran. So he's a good guy to reach out to. I'm sure if you guys are on the Slant Range user group, he's a good resource along with some others out there.
Yeah, if I can throw one last thing is that the Slant Range community is great. Everybody works together. I've made a lot of friends that are Slant Range users, and it's a tight-knit group now. It's really cool. So anybody, feel free to reach out to any one of us, and we'll be happy to answer your questions and help you out.
Yeah, and our team's always on board. We've got our data analysis and data scientists here that are always welcome to help you guys out.
Exactly.
And
you guys are a great team.
And I'll second to the group. The customers themselves are always talking to each other, and because it's so new, they're always trying to find out new ways to do things, kind of like what Cody's here talking about with the rice and knowing what times of day to fly. So anyways, appreciate it, Cody.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.